one.
Hey guys, it's Brendan with TJ's Tackle here. My partner Benjamin on the camera. I want to show you how we're powder painting jigs today. I'm going to paint a 4-color Firetiger jig. If you've seen me at the fishing shows, you've seen this demo before. First I want to talk a little bit about the equipment that I use. There's a million ways to skin this cat. This is what works best for me. So there's no right or wrong way. This is the setup that I've done for years. I found it to be most efficient, and I can do a couple hundred an hour depending on what colors I'm doing, whether they're multiple or single colors. So first I'm going to start with my fluid bed. I've got my fluid bed here, 3-inch model. It's got 2 ounces of green chartreuse paint in it. You can see it liquefies that powder. That's why they call it a fluid bed. That's what I'll use for my base coat. I've got the 3 accent colors that I'm going to use, and you'll notice I use these are just kids craft paint brushes. And when you get them, you buy them like this. You can buy these anywhere. They're really cheap. They look like this. If you take and you cram them down in to the powder paint, then they flare up like that, and then they'll hold the powder paint for sprinkling on the top. Works really well. Some guys use makeup brushes. Again, whatever works for you. Here's my drying rack that I built. This will hold, probably 500 jigs or so, depending on what size I'm doing. So I just fill this up and I carry the whole thing up out into the garage where I have a full-size oven for curing my jigs. I have a heat gun here, and I probably won't use it much in the process. Sometimes I'll use it if the paint doesn't completely gloss over. I'll just put it back in there until it glosses over, but these are all getting cured anyway, so I'll just go from my oven and right to the rack, and then they'll gloss over. If they didn't, they'll gloss over when they're cured. This is the toaster oven that I use for heating my jigs. I'll do a different video if you just are using a heat gun, but for now this is kind of my production environment. This is an Oster 6-slice toaster oven. You can see I've got my jigs hanging in there, and this one I like because there's different levels for the rack to sit. You want your jigs to be in the middle. These heating elements in these toaster ovens get super hot, and especially when they first come on when they're cold. If I've got my jigs too close, it's going to melt the lead right off the hook, or at least melt the end of it. We don't want that. So this has been a great model for me. It's got a stay on button, so it can leave it on as long as I want. And then I set my temperature at about 400 degrees when I do these. I put these in there, set it at about 400. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes before they're ready to start pulling. And then I can pull one after the other. So let's go ahead and get on the paint. So go into my base coat, in and out quickly. Tap on some bright green. Tap on a little bit of black. Flip it over. And a sprinkle of orange. I'll go right to the rack. I'll go right to the next one. Again, I want my bright green to shine through, so I'm not going to cover it up completely with black, so I just do a little splashes of the black on the top. And then the blaze orange. So these actually are not glossing over. They might when they finish cooling a little bit. But on the third one, I'm going to show you real quick. I can also, instead of hanging them on the rack, if I want to put them in water, it'll set that paint right away. Again, this takes some playing sometimes to get to learn how to do this. I use the analogy of like a cigarette. I don't smoke, but if you just tap it on there like with your finger like you would a cigarette ashes, that works really well. So now if I just take this and I cool it in the water, it sets that paint and I can handle it right away. So when I'm at the shows, that's what I'll do, and then I can hand it to people. But here is your finished Firetiger 4-color jig.